Dr. Maya Chen squinted through the reinforced viewport of her research station, watching as another gravitational storm tore across the surface of Kepler 186f. The swirling purple clouds, dense enough to crush standard spacecraft, were exactly why she'd spent the last 3 years on this desolate rock. Earth's most ambitious meteorological study needed its most resilient scientist, and Maya's enhanced physiology made her the perfect candidate. The storm's intensity readings were off the charts again. Maya adjusted her instruments, triple-checking the calculations. No one back on Earth would believe these numbers without solid proof. The atmospheric pressure alone should have flattened her research station hours ago, yet here she stood, watching nature's fury through triple reinforced windows. Station, we've got an anomaly approaching from Vector 317, her AI assistant, Araya, announced, highlighting a section of the storm wall. Maya zoomed in on the coordinates, expecting to see another piece of debris caught in the maelstrom. Instead, her jaw dropped. A figure was walking through the storm. Not running, not fighting against the wind. Walking, as if the crushing gravity and deadly atmosphere were nothing more than a light breeze. Araya, confirm visual. Am I seeing things? Maya's enhanced eyes were good, but even they could play tricks in these conditions. Confirmed. Biometric readings indicate a humanoid life form, approximately 2 meters tall. Physiology is unusual, not matching any known species in database. Maya grabbed her atmospheric suit, reinforced to withstand the planet's crushing gravity, and headed for the airlock. Whatever was out there shouldn't have been able to survive, yet it moved with the same ease she did. After 3 years of isolation, the scientist in her couldn't resist investigating. Dr. Chen, protocol strongly advises against exit during peak storm conditions. Araya warned. Note the objection. Maya replied, securing her helmet. But if there's something else out here that can survive these conditions, I need to know what and how. The moment Maya stepped outside, the storm hit her like a wall. Even with her enhanced strength and the suit's support, each step required conscious effort. The figure was closer now, and Maya could make out more details through the purple haze. Tall, humanoid, but definitely not human. Its skin had a metallic sheen, and what she'd first taken for clothing appeared to be natural armor plating. The being stopped about 10 meters away, studying her with eyes that glowed like distant stars. Maya raised her hands in what she hoped was a universal gesture of peace. I'm Dr. Maya Chen, she said, broadcasting on all standard frequencies. I mean you no harm. The alien's head tilted slightly. You survive. The words came through clear on Maya's comm, tinged with surprise. I thought I was the only one who could walk the storm paths. Likewise, Maya replied, fascination overriding caution. I'm a modified human, designed to withstand extreme conditions. But you're moving like this is normal gravity. For me, it is light. The alien took a step closer. I am Kirazan of the Nomad clans. My people evolved on a world 3 times the gravity of this one. She gestured at the raging storm. Though I admit, the atmospheric composition here is interesting. Maya couldn't help but laugh. Interesting is one way to put it. The pressure would crush most spacecraft, and the electrical discharge from the storms can fry standard shielding. Yet you built this. Kirajan nodded toward the research station. Your species must be more resilient than most I've encountered. A particularly violent gust swept between them, carrying debris that would have shredded normal matter. Both Maya and Kirajan adjusted their stances automatically, compensating for the force with practiced ease. In that moment, they recognized something in each other, the familiar movements of beings adapted to survive where others couldn't. Would you like to come inside? Maya offered. I have 3 years of data on these storms that I'd love to compare with your observations. You assume I'm here to study them as well. Kirajan's tone carried amusement. Why else would anyone come to this particular hell? Maya grinned behind her visor. Besides, I've got coffee, or at least something that pretends to be coffee. I do not know this coffee, Karajan replied, but I would be interested in comparing notes. The storm paths hold secrets that my people have sought for generations. As they walked back to the station, Maya noticed how Karajan studied everything. The station's construction, the instrument arrays, even the way Maya moved in her suit. The scientist in her recognized another researcher, regardless of species. Inside the airlock, as the pressure equalized, Maya got her first clear look at her visitor. Karajan stood nearly 7 feet tall, her metallic skin shifting colors like oil on water. The armor plates she'd noticed earlier were indeed part of her biology, arranged in an overlapping pattern that reminded Maya of Earth's pangolins. Your adaptation is artificial, Karajan asked, watching Maya remove her helmet. Enhanced genetics and cybernetic reinforcement, Maya confirmed. Earth needed someone who could survive here long enough to study these storms. The modifications were extensive. Yet you chose this. There was no judgment in Karajan's voice, only curiosity. Science requires sacrifice sometimes. Maya led them into her lab, though I suspect you understand it better than most. Karajan's eyes flickered, their equivalent of a smile, Maya guessed. Indeed, my people believe knowledge is worth any price. It is why we follow the storm paths across worlds. As Maya prepared her makeshift coffee, she pulled up her storm data on the main display. These gravitational anomalies, they're not natural. The patterns are too regular, too purposeful. No, Karajan agreed, studying the readings with obvious interest. They are not. But neither are we, Dr. Chen. Have you never wondered why a human could be so successfully modified to survive here? Or why my people evolved to endure such extreme conditions? Maya's hand froze halfway to her coffee cup. What are you saying? That perhaps it is not coincidence that brought us both to this storm path. Karajan reached into a compartment in her natural armor and withdrew something that glowed with an inner light. Perhaps it is time you learned why these storms truly exist. The object in Karajan's hand pulsed with a blue-white energy that made Maya's enhanced vision tingle. It was roughly the size of a tennis ball, its surface covered in intricate patterns that seemed to shift and flow like liquid metal. We call it a storm heart, Karajan explained, placing it on Maya's lab table. My clan has guarded this one for generations, following the energy signatures it reveals across the galaxy. Maya's instruments immediately began registering unprecedented energy readings. It's generating the same frequency as the gravitational anomalies in the storms. She breathed scientific curiosity, overriding caution, as she reached for the artifact. The moment her fingers touched its surface, the storm heart flared brilliantly. Maya felt a resonance deep in her modified cells, like every enhancement in her body was suddenly singing in harmony. Karajan's metallic skin rippled with similar energy patterns. As I suspected, the alien researcher said, her glowing eyes intensifying. You are a match, just as I am. Do you understand what this means, Dr. Chen? Maya stared at her hand, still tingling from contact with the artifact. Our adaptations, mine artificial, yours evolutionary, they're connected somehow. But that's impossible. Earth and your homeworld are light years apart. Unless, Karajan suggested, someone wanted it that way. The storm paths are not random, Maya. They form a network across the galaxy, each one containing gravimetric conditions that would kill most species. Yet here we both stand. The lab's displays suddenly flickered, and Aria's voice carried an unusual note of urgency. Dr. Chen, multiple vessels have entered the system. Their signatures match no known configuration, but their approach vector suggests they've tracked something to our location. Karajan's armor plates shifted, taking on a more defensive configuration. They followed me. The consortium has been hunting storm hearts for centuries, trying to unlock their power. But they cannot survive the conditions necessary to properly study them. Unlike us, Maya said, pieces clicking into place in her mind. She pulled up her research data, 3 years of storm analysis spreading across the screens. These energy patterns, I've seen something similar before. There's a site about 20 kilometers from here, deep in the storm zone. The readings were so bizarre, I thought my instruments were malfunctioning. The alien researcher moved to study the data, her metallic fingers dancing across the holographic displays. Yes, this matches ancient records from my people's archives. We called them forge sites, places where the storm paths converge. More alerts flashed across the screens as the unknown ships entered orbit. Maya's mind raced, years of scientific training mooring with the sudden revelation that her research might be part of something far bigger. How long until they reach us? She asked Araya. Approximately 43 minutes. They appear to be launching atmospheric probes, but the storm is destroying them before they reach the surface. Maya met Kirajan's glowing gaze. 20 kilometers through the worst storm conditions I've recorded. No normal ship could make it. Good thing we're not normal. Kirajan replied, her tone carrying what Maya was starting to recognize as excitement. Your atmospheric suit, can it handle a sustained journey? I've never tested it that long, Maya admitted. But it's better than waiting here to meet whoever's up there. Araya, initiate Protocol Omega. Full data backup and station lockdown. Dr. Chen, I must point out that traveling through peak storm conditions would be suicide for anyone else, Maya finished, already moving to collect essential equipment. But that's why they chose me for this mission, isn't it? Because I'm not anyone else. As they prepared to leave, Maya noticed Kirajan studying her with renewed interest. Your modifications, the alien said, they're more extensive than you first indicated. Maya paused in checking her suit's seals. The public story is that I volunteered for enhancement to study dangerous weather phenomena. The truth, she flexed her hand, watching the subtle play of cybernetics beneath her skin. Earth needed to know if humans could be successfully adapted to survive extreme conditions. I was the first success after 12 failures. Your people risked much to gain this knowledge. Knowledge is worth any price, Maya quoted back at her, though I'm starting to think the price might be higher than anyone realized. The Stormheart pulsed brighter as Kirazan secured it in a compartment of her natural armor. The storm paths chose us both, Maya Chen. Perhaps it's time we learned why. They stepped into the airlock together, two beings uniquely suited to survive conditions that would kill almost any other life form. Through the reinforced windows, Maya could see the storm had intensified, purple lightning casting strange shadows through the dense clouds. The forge site's energy signature will be strongest in the storm's eye, Maya said, checking her instruments one last time. We'll have to pass through the wall to reach it. My people have a saying, Kirajan replied as the outer doors began to open. The fiercest storms forge the strongest bonds. Maya smiled behind her visor. On Earth, we just say, let's do this. They stepped out into the maelstrom together, two children of different stars united by adaptations that should have been impossible. Above them, the consortium ships continued their descent, unaware that their quarry was about to attempt something unprecedented even by the standards of their enhanced physiologies. The storm welcomed them with crushing gravity and wind strong enough to tear apart normal matter. But Maya and Kirajan moved forward step by step, their unique abilities allowing them to endure conditions that had kept this world's secrets safe for millennia. Whatever waited for them at the forge site, they would face it together, proof that evolution, whether natural or artificial, had prepared them for exactly this moment. Lightning split the purple sky as Maya and Kirazan fought their way through the storm wall. Each step was a battle against forces that could shred battleships, yet they pressed forward. Maya's enhanced muscles strained against gravity that would crush normal humans to paste, while Kirajan's metallic skin rippled and adapted to deflect debris that could penetrate military-grade armor. Energy spike. Maya called out through their linked communications. 3 o'clock. Kirajan moved with liquid grace, pulling Maya aside as a gravitational shear tore through the space they'd occupied. The ground where they'd stood warped and twisted, rock flowing like water under the intense forces. The storms are becoming more volatile, Kirijan observed, her glowing eyes scanning the swirling clouds above. The storm heart responds to the increased energy. It's almost as if the storm knows we're here, Maya finished. Her sensors were displaying readings that defied conventional physics. These patterns, they're not random. The gravitational fluctuations are forming sequences. A distant boom echoed through the maelstrom. Through gaps in the clouds, they caught glimpses of the consortium ships attempting to penetrate the storm layer. Each vessel that ventured too close was instantly torn apart by the same forces that Maya and Kirijan were navigating on foot. They're persistent, Maya noted, checking the distance to the forge site on her instruments. 15 kilometers to go. Though with these conditions, it might as well be 15,000. Kirijan's armor plates shifted, adapting to a particularly strong gravity wave. The consortium has spent centuries trying to unlock the secrets of the storm paths. They believe the storm hearts are weapons, tools to be controlled. And what do you believe they are? Before Kirijan could answer, Maya's sensors screamed a warning. A massive gravitational vortex was forming directly in their path, creating a tunnel of relatively stable conditions through the storm. That's impossible, Maya breathed, checking and rechecking her readings. The energy patterns, they're creating a safe passage. But why now? Why here? The storm heart pulsed within Kirijan's armor, its rhythm matching the swirling energies around them. Not why, she said softly. Who? The storm paths are not natural phenomena, Maya Chen. They are roads built by those who came before. Maya's enhanced vision caught movement at the edges of the vortex, complicated geometries that seemed to fold in on themselves, patterns that reminded her of the markings on the storm heart. Roads to where? That, Kirijan replied, is what my people have spent generations trying to discover. The storm paths appear on worlds that should be too hostile for life, yet they shaped both our species to survive here. The question is, what were we meant to survive for? Another explosion lit up the sky as a consortium ship ventured too close to the storm wall. But this time, something emerged from the wreckage. Sleek pods designed to function in extreme conditions. Dropships, Kirijan snarled, her armor configuring into a more aggressive pattern. They've adapted their technology to survive short exposures to the storm. Maya's cybernetic systems were already calculating trajectories. Short exposures won't be enough. These conditions will tear them apart in minutes, but minutes might be all they need to reach us. The vortex pulsed, as if responding to their urgency. Maya and Kirijan shared a look that transcended their different species. Sometimes the only way out was through. They plunged into the gravitational tunnel together. Inside, the storm's fury was muted, transformed into currents that seemed to push them forward. Maya's instruments recorded everything, her scientist's mind racing to understand the principles at work. The energy patterns were familiar somehow, resonating with her enhanced physiology in ways that shouldn't have been possible. Your modifications, Kirijan said as they ran, her longer strides matching Maya's enhanced speed perfectly. They were based on recovered technology, weren't they? Maya vaulted over a section of twisted terrain, her cybernetics making the impossible leap seem effortless. Classified technology found in ruins on Mars. The public thinks it was alien in origin, but she glanced at the patterns swirling around them. It looked exactly like this. As did the ancient sites where my people first learned to manipulate our evolution. Kirijan confirmed, we are not random variables, Maya Chen. We are the result of plans set in motion long ago. The Stormheart's pulse quickened, and the vortex responded. Ahead of them, the storm parted to reveal a structure that by all rights shouldn't have existed. A massive complex of the same shifting, flowing metal as the Stormheart, rising from the planet's tortured surface like a monument to impossible engineering. The forge site, Maya whispered, her sensors struggling to process what she was seeing. It's not ruins. It's active. Behind them, the dropships were closing in, their hulls already beginning to buckle under the storm's assault. But Maya barely noticed them. Her attention was fixed on the structure ahead, and on the symbols that covered its surface, identical to the marks her enhancement surgery had left beneath her skin. "Your people didn't invent the technology to modify you," Kirijan said, her voice filled with wonder. "They rediscovered it, just as my ancestors rediscovered the keys to controlling our own evolution. We were meant to find this place, Maya. We were meant to find each other." The forge site's entrance beckoned, promising answers to questions both women had carried across light years. But the consortium forces were closing in, and the storm itself seemed to be building towards some kind of crescendo. Maya checked her suit's systems one last time. "Well, partner, ready to find out what we were built for." Kirijan's metallic skin rippled with anticipation. "Lead the way, human. Let's show the galaxy what happens when they back two deathworlders into a corner." Together they raced toward the entrance, two beings shaped by different stars, but united by adaptations that went far beyond random chance. Behind them, the storm closed ranks, protecting its chosen children as they prepared to unlock secrets that had waited millennia to be discovered. The interior of the forge site defied conventional architecture. Corridors shifted and flowed like liquid metal, responding to their presence as Maya and Kirijan moved deeper into the complex. The Stormheart's pulsing had become stronger, more insistent, as if eager to reach its destination. "These markings," Maya said, her enhanced vision capturing every detail of the flowing symbols on the walls. "They're not just decorative. They're equations, mathematical descriptions of genetic modification at the quantum level." Kirijan traced one of the patterns with her metallic fingers. "The same principles my people discovered in our evolution chambers. But this is far more advanced. These aren't instructions for single modifications. They're complete evolutionary roadmaps." Maya finished, her scientific training struggling to process the implications. "Your species' natural armor, my cybernetic compatibility. They weren't separate developments. They're part of the same design." A distant explosion echoed through the complex. The consortium forces had breached the outer perimeter, though the building itself seemed to be actively working to slow their progress. Corridors sealed and reformed behind Maya and Kirijan, while opening new paths ahead of them. "The structure is protecting us," Kirijan observed as they followed the Stormheart's guidance. "Just as the storms do. We're not intruders here, we're inheritors." They emerged into a vast chamber that took Maya's breath away. A holographic display filled the space, showing galaxies and star systems connected by the familiar energy patterns of the storm paths. At the center of it all, a pedestal waited, its surface marked with indentations that matched both the Stormheart and Maya's cybernetic interfaces. "It's a map," Maya breathed, her enhanced mind processing the astronomical data. "The storms aren't random phenomena. They're a transportation network. But why build something only beings like us could access?" The chamber rumbled as explosions drew closer. Kirijan moved to the pedestal, her armor resonating with the same frequency as the surrounding technology. "Perhaps it's time we found out. Your people took the first steps toward joining this network when they found those ruins on Mars. My people did the same in our ancient evolution chambers. Now we finish what they started." Maya stepped up beside her, cybernetic implants humming in harmony with the alien technology. The science part of her brain was screaming about unknown variables and potential risks, but something deeper, the part of her that had volunteered for experimental enhancement surgery, knew this was right. "Together?" she asked, reaching for the interface as Kirijan positioned the Stormheart. "Together." The moment they made contact, the chamber erupted with energy. The holographic display intensified, and a voice spoke, not in words, but in pure information downloaded directly into their enhanced minds. "Children of the storm paths," it began, "you have proven yourselves worthy of the legacy we left behind. We were the precursors, and we faced a threat that could not be defeated through force alone." Images flashed through their consciousness, an ancient enemy that existed between dimensions, immune to conventional physics. The precursors had realized that only beings adapted to survive in extreme conditions, conditions that mimic the space between realities, could fight this threat. But such adaptation could not be rushed. The message continued. It required parallel evolution, two species developing along carefully guided paths, each contributing vital traits that would eventually be combined. The human's adaptability and drive to expand. The nomad clan's natural armor and genetic plasticity. The storms, Maya gasped as understanding dawned. They're not just transportation. They're training grounds, testing sites to ensure we develop the right adaptations. And now you have proven ready, the voice confirmed. The network awaits your command. The tools of our civilization are yours to use. But beware, others have detected our legacy. They seek to claim this power without earning the right to wield it. As if on cue, the chamber's entrance exploded inward. Consortium troops in experimental pressure suits poured through, weapons charge. Their leader, a towering figure in enhanced armor, stepped forward. "How fitting," he announced, his voice distorted by his suit's systems. "The two specimens we've been tracking, delivering themselves right to the source. The secrets of accelerated evolution, ready to be harvested." Maya and Kirajan stood their ground as the chamber's energy swirled around them. Through their connected interface with the precursor systems, they could feel the full power of the storm network responding to their presence. Harvested. Maya's voice carried the cold precision of a scientist observing a particularly dense specimen. "You still don't understand. We're not the experiment anymore." Kirajan's armor rippled as she completed the thought. "We're the finished product." The storm heart pulsed once, and the chamber's defenses awakened. Gravitational fields that had forced both Maya and Kirajan to evolve into something stronger now turned their full force against the intruders. The consortium troops screamed as their experimental suits crumpled under pressures they were never designed to withstand. Their leader staggered back, his enhanced armor barely holding together. "What are you?" Maya felt Kirajan's fierce joy through their connected consciousness as they answered together. "We are the children of two worlds, forged in storms you cannot survive, chosen to face things you cannot comprehend. We are the next step." The chamber trembled as they fully connected to the precursor network. Through the holographic display, they could see other storm paths activating across the galaxy, calling to others like them who had survived, adapted, evolved. The legacy of the precursors was not a weapon to be seized, but a birthright to be earned. And they had only begun to discover what that birthright meant. The forge site hummed with power as Maya and Kirajan stood united at its heart. Their consciousness expanded through the precursor network. Through their shared connection, they could feel other storm paths awakening across the galaxy, each one calling to others who had survived their trials. "More like us," Maya whispered, her cybernetic systems processing the flood of data. Other humans who underwent enhancement procedures, members of Kirajan's clan who followed different storm paths. They're all feeling this. The consortium leader struggled to his feet, his enhanced armor groaning under the chamber's gravitational assault. "You have no idea what you're dealing with. The power to accelerate evolution itself, it can't be left in the hands of specimens like you." Kirajan's metallic skin rippled with something between amusement and pity. "You still think this is about power, about weapons and control. You never stopped to ask why the precursors built a network that only beings like us could access." Through their neural link to the forge site systems, Maya and Kirajan saw the full scope of what they'd inherited. The storm paths weren't just tests or transportation networks. They were preparation for something far more crucial. The enemy the precursors faced, Maya said, her enhanced mind racing ahead to the logical conclusion. They're still out there, growing stronger in the spaces between dimensions, waiting to break through. The chamber's holographic display shifted, showing rifts in space-time where conventional physics broke down. The same extreme conditions that had forced both their species to adapt were spreading naturally across the galaxy. Reality itself was under siege. "Your ships can't survive these conditions," Kirajan addressed the consortium forces. Your weapons can't affect something that exists partially outside our dimension. But we can. That's what we were designed for. Not to fight for resources or territory, but to stand guard at the boundaries of existence itself. The storm heart pulsed, and the chamber's defenses shifted. The crushing gravity lifted from the consortium troops, though their leader's enhanced armor had been damaged beyond repair. "You have a choice," Maya announced, feeling Kirajan's agreement through their link. "Leave now, or stay and learn. Not as conquerors trying to steal power, but as allies helping to prepare for what's coming." The storms aren't meant to kill, they're meant to strengthen. The consortium leader looked between them, his ambition warring with the undeniable evidence of how outmatched his forces were. "The storm paths exist on hundreds of worlds. Even with your abilities, you can't defend them all." "We don't have to," Kirajan replied. "That's why the precursors guided two different species to evolve along parallel paths. Strength isn't about individual power. It's about adaptation, cooperation, finding new ways to survive and thrive." Maya felt the truth of it in every enhanced cell of her body. Earth's science combined with the Nomad clan's evolutionary techniques. My cybernetic adaptability merged with Kirajan's natural armor. We're stronger together than either of our species could be alone. Through the forged site's systems, they could see other sites activating, other pairs of evolved humans, and nomads finding each other, recognizing their shared purpose. The precursors hadn't just engineered their physical abilities, they'd engineered their species to be compatible, to instinctively understand and trust each other. The consortium leader finally stepped back, gesturing for his troops to stand down. "How long? How long until these rifts become a real threat?" "Soon," Maya answered, the precursor data flowing through her consciousness. "But we have the tools we need. The storm paths will find others who can adapt. The forged sites will help us prepare. And most importantly, we're not alone." Kirajan's hand found Maya's, their different physiologies perfectly complementary. The precursors faced their enemy alone, and knew they couldn't win. So they made sure their children would face it together. The chamber's energy swirled around them as more connections formed through the network. Across the galaxy, other humans and nomads were discovering their shared legacy, their linked destiny. The storms that had forced them to evolve would now serve as their highways among the stars, allowing them to reach any threatened region of space. "We should go," Maya said, feeling new rifts forming in distant systems. "There are others like us out there, waiting to understand what they've become. And there are more forged sites to awaken." Kirajan's glowing eyes met her enhanced ones. Together, Maya confirmed. After all, someone has to show the galaxy what happens when you combine human determination with nomad resilience. The Stormheart's energy merged with Maya's cybernetics, creating a perfect synthesis of both their species' strengths. As they prepared to step into the Storm Path network for the first time, they could feel the weight of the Precursor's legacy. Not as a burden, but as a promise. They had been forged in storms, shaped by impossible conditions, guided along parallel paths across the light years. Not as an experiment, not as weapons, but as protectors. The next stage of evolution for both their species. And they were ready to show the universe exactly what that meant.